and the 411. And the GPS stands for goals, priorities, and strategies. And 411 stands for 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. And I'm going to show you how all this plays a factor in you having great success in your real estate career. So here's the positioning where we're working towards business planning. We're working towards being effective with our time, staying on target to make sure at the end of your year you achieve the success you're wanting to achieve. So there's a couple prep works that's got to go into this conversation before we get here. And I highly recommend everybody takes the business planning clinic. And the business planning clinic goes through all the models of the millionaire real estate agent and helps you get your mind wrapped around what's got to happen in order for you to achieve the income goal you want to achieve. And inside the millionaire real estate agent business planning clinic is a thing called the economic model. And it looks very similar to this. And what's most important is you decide what you want your net income goal to be. And the economic model is literally a math formula that tells you what's got to happen in order for you to achieve the income goal you want to achieve. And why that's so important is we start with what we want out of the business, and then we've got to create the formula that says, this is what's got to happen in order for that income to land in my pocket at the end of the year. So once you've done that prep work, that's where the GPS and the 411 start. So let's start off our conversation with what is a GPS? You've heard people say get on the same page. You've heard people say have a one-page business plan. That's really what the GPS is. It's designed to be a one-page business plan for you. And at the beginning of it, it says my one thing for the year, my big goal for the year, and you put what that is here. Why I'm encouraging you to go through the business planning clinic first, why I'm encouraging you to engage in the economic model is it allows you to start with your income goal and then create your goals based on what you want out of the business income-wise. So if you do that work, it'll be really easy to decide what is my goal for the year. And you're going to put it right here at the top. And my one thing for the year is to sell $5 million in real estate, to sell $20 million in real estate. My one thing could be to take 20 listings. And if I believe that one thing happens, my income will land in my pocket. That creates a clarity statement on the top of this one-page business plan. And then once you have that annual goal, that one thing for the year, you're going to have to do some thought process here going, what are the three priorities, priority one, priority two, and priority three, that I need to engage into to make sure this goal happens? So if I wanted to sell $5 million a year, a priority could be having a thriving sphere of influence database plan. It could be creating an internet lead generation strategy. There's so many things those priorities could be. You get to decide. If you're struggling, seek wise counsel with a productivity coach, a team leader. Call me. We would love to make sure you're set up for success. And this is a big part of setting you up for success. Couple comments. One, the priorities standalone should be great enough to cause you to succeed in your one thing for the year. So for instance, if my one thing, my goal is to sell $5 million in real estate, my database sphere of influence priority has to be so strong that without the other two, I would still achieve my annual goal. Or if my priority was internet lead generation, that priority's got to be so strong that I could achieve my goal without the other two. And it's just a mindset game that you're playing, but you're wanting to make sure you're setting yourself up for success. And then once you have your three priorities established, you're going to come back and work on five strategies underneath each priority to accomplish that priority. The strategies are controllable. So if I, for instance, said my priority one is to have a great sphere of influence, database, focus in my business, my strategies could be I'm going to do pop buys to my top 100. I can control that. I'm going to do client events once a quarter. I can control that. I'm going to call everybody in my database 4 times this year. I can control that. Those are the strategies that would cause the database sphere of influence priority to happen, that would cause the annual goal of whatever you set to happen. And if you just spend time planning this out and getting real clear on what your strategies are, and to create the clarity around how you're going to accomplish each priority, at the end of the year, your goal is absolutely achievable, and it's just a simple planning tool. So remember, we got to do the economic model first to understand income goal and what's got to happen, and that process will give you clarity for your goal for your GPS. And once you spend the time, and I highly encourage everybody to spend the time to have a great GPS, it's your one-page business plan. However, time management is one of the number one things that top performers succeed at, and everybody else struggles with a little bit. And not that if you're a top performer, you'll never struggle with time management, but we have an amazing tool called the 411. And the 411 works in conjunction with the GPS business plan. So once you have your goals on the 411, as I told you, it stands for 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. This is a working document that you're visiting on a weekly basis, a daily basis. But you start at the top, and what are your 5 goals professionally that you wanted to accomplish? It's a little more thorough than the one goal from the GPS business plan, but it continues from the GPS business plan. And I encourage people to have personal goals as well. So if your personal goal was to read 12 books in this year, you might put that I'm going to read 12 books this year. If you had a personal goal of buying an investment property, that could be a personal goal. There's so many things that can go in these goal categories. I'm not going to go too far, but I want to just give you a few examples. And then once you have your annual goals, you're going to come down to the monthly goals. So obviously, if you're starting this on a calendar year, the first month is January. What are you going to do in January from a goal standpoint? Meaning, if I said on my personal side I was going to read 12 books, am I going to read 1 book in the month of January? And I might even be more specific and say, I'm going to read The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek in the month of January. And then you're starting to break down your goals from the annual into the monthly. And then where this really becomes highly effective is you start making your list of what has to happen this week. So week 1 in January, what do you got to do? And if I'm just using the read a book analogy on the personal side, I might say I need to read 3 chapters this week. I might need to read 100 pages this week. On the professional side, I might need to call 50 people in my sphere of influence this week. And I might even say I'm going to call everybody that has a last name that starts with the letter A and starts with the letter B. And by planning this way, you're keeping that time management a priority. You're being effective with your time. And ultimately, the 411 is the accountability tool for you that causes your GPS to happen, that causes your